Yay!
Anthony reminded me, so I was like, yes, I need to remember that. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so gonna start, and everybody online as well, welcome. So once we are here, no, we came, we left work, we came from home, and it's raining a bit. There's work at home, so many things going on in our lives, right? And we decided to come here today, so that's extremely kind of you, but extremely also beneficial. So, but for it to actually become beneficial, we need to make it beneficial. And to make it beneficial, we need to generate a positive motivation. You know, intention is the most important thing. And if we think about it, we just run through our day without never paying attention of why we're doing things. We're just thinking about, oh yeah, we need to finish that task. We need to finish this. I need to do this, that. You know, the to-do list, the crossing something from the list. You know, just like, which it is extremely um satisfying, you know, when you cross a few things that you've done that you had to do, and then you feel like, I accomplished something. Okay, very good. But just doing the action doesn't make it good or bad, right? Even practicing generosity or practicing Dharma, whatever it is that we call Dharma, you know, meditation, reading, prayers, whatever we say it is, you know, even here, like me yesterday, just thinking about, we need to do this beautiful thing. No Dharma, right? There's no Dharma there. If the intention is not. If the intention is not there. But the intention is not just intention of, you know, we can have any type of intention. Intention is something that is, we say, it's a mind, you know, part of our main minds. It's one of the, uh, yeah, one of the, what we call the different mental factors. But intention in itself needs to be positive. And what makes a positive intention? What is that makes a positive intention? What makes it positive and what makes it negative?
Doing something for the good of the world, and negative is if you're, well, I'm not going to say only doing something for yourself, because sometimes you need to do things
That's
for
it.
yourself.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yes, that's very good. Because it is true. It is like normally an intention, a positive intention, it has a connotation of thinking about others, right? But just thinking about others.
Excuse me, I'm very sorry.
That there was a sound. I think it's a phone. So just doing a positive, just an intention thinking about others, not necessarily is going to be positive as well, right? Because we can be kind of like being very possessive and selfish and say, no, but I'm doing something for my family, my friends, my people. And in our minds, it is doing something about others. It doesn't make necessarily a positive intention, right?
So if it comes from compassion
Mm-hmm.
and not self-cherishing,
Mm-hmm.
because it can be self-compassion, it's
Yes,
not bad either.
very good.
And it doesn't come from obscurations or defilements,
Yes,
anger, attachment, ignorance,
very good.
then it's positive.
Yes, we could say that. But then we're gonna go even a little bit beyond that, because the way of just thinking about that it doesn't come from a negative mindset, right? Then it is not necessarily enough to bring the result that we are talking about here, which is the result that the Buddha talks about, which is that all of us have the potential to achieve enlightenment. So then we need to understand what enlightenment really means, right? And enlightenment is a motivation based, is a motivation, it's a result, actually, right? It's cause and conditions coming together that enlightenment comes. And enlightenment is that state that in Tibetan we say sangye, right? Sang, that is completely purified. So without a small, there's no there's no delusions, there's no negativities, and there are no what we call karmic imprints leading to more suffering. Okay? That is the first point. And the second point, it is that is based in Ge. And Ge means the perfection of all our qualities. Okay? So these two aspects, the idea of being completely free from suffering and the causes of suffering, is very important that we have the two, and the completely perfection of our qualities in order to help others to achieve the same state is what we call enlightenment. That is very important, because then what we will define if something is positive or not is the question, is this bringing sentient beings to this stage of enlightenment?
Oh,
That is very important.
so it's not just doing something for someone.
No,
That's a positive thing.
that is a positive
But-
thing,
Like,
but
for
it's
example,
not.
Taking the person shopping.
Yes,
That's a good
exactly.
thing, but
That
that's
is very
not-
good,
that's
but it's not what we are talking here. Very important this.
Right.
Yes. We still didn't even made a motivation. So for you to know, okay, that's how it is with me. We just blah blah blah, but we're gonna do motivation and prayers. Don't worry, okay, Nana. Tell me,
So
right?
if developing bodhicitta, going up in the bhumis of bodhisattva, when you
Yes.
get to the Mahakaruna, when
Mhm.
you do something, ultimately you should not be doing it even with the thought of it bringing you enlightenment. You should do it out of great compassion without any thought of the benefit it provides.
That is what we call the Pratyeka Buddhas and the Shravakas path.
So
It's
we get to
different
the
than
point where
enlightenment.
you don't even consider whether it's for enlightenment or not. We're doing
When
it,
we arrive at enlightenment, yes, we don't. Because it's spontaneously.
or even getting to enlightenment, I should be doing out of great compassion, not expecting the reward of enlightenment.
Well, you
No.
definitely, when you are already in these levels, you understand, you already realized emptiness. So you already understand that enlightenment is not inherently existent. So-
I'm sorry to say.
So the same. So then you don't have those doubts. But that is a very good question, because this is exactly the difference between the three types of beings, right? The beings that just want to, what we call the hearers, the solitary realizers, and the bodhisattvas, right? The bodhisattvas, they want to achieve enlightenment. Therefore, they train on the path to enlightenment. So that motivation is there until they achieve, they perfect enlightenment. And therefore, there's no need for a conceptual mind, like a motivation and intention is, to develop that wish. Is spontaneously. So everything they do, every single aspect of body, speech, and mind, brings sentient beings closer to enlightenment. That's why that is the mind that is so
They're not
wise.
even thinking.
They're
about
not
it.
even
What
thinking.
they
There's
do-
no more conceptual thinking in this way, because it's direct perception of everything, right? So direct perception of all of and they are omniscient, so they can see whatever is beneficial for each of us. So they're gonna say something for, for Margaret, that is gonna be maybe completely different for Alejandro. But both of these things are gonna be in relation to that karmic connection that they have, what they need to hear, what they need to see, what they need to understand, so it can bring them closer to enlightenment, not just having a nice time, just like, oh yes, bringing people to shopping. So bringing people to shopping, like as Luciana's example, can be just a normal, very nice thing to do. Don't get me wrong, very nice, but it can be done even further. So you can even think about
So
it.
how would you do that?
So it's the intention, it's your mind. Ah, may I be able to help her, through like whatever I do with my body, speech, and mind, with my motivation, to bring her closer to enlightenment, right? So then the way I'm going to talk to her is going to have that. So maybe I'm going to talk a little bit about impermanence. I'm going to talk a little bit about death, because we all got a death. We're going to talk a little bit about interdependence, right? All of these concepts, that are closer and closer and closer to reality, right? Which is the enlightenment state. Because the Buddha, when you say that when we realize, when we achieve enlightenment, we are just being real in a way, you know? For the first time, we are really seeing reality. Because right now, as we can see, we are completely hallucinated and deluded in our minds, right? One of my precious teachers, Khandrila Rinpoche, Khandro Kunga Buma is her name. She gave a very special teachings, and once we had a very special talk about it, you know, because she was talking about, have you heard about the six perfections?
Yeah.
Yes. So the six perfections, and she was talking about, yes, the six perfections, very important: generosity, patience, you know, concentration, morality, you know, like joyous effort. But without the understanding of emptiness and the wish to bring sentient beings to enlightenment, those six perfections are just pure actions. You understand? They are not really bringing sentient beings to the path to enlightenment. It's not bringing you to the path to enlightenment. If you don't have those two minds of emptiness, of understanding reality, and bodhicitta. So that's why it's so important that when we are even here doing these prayers and this motivation, we need to have that in mind. That's why we do the motivations, you know, about the first one, the four immeasurables, is to help us. Four immeasurables is the beginning of generating great compassion, right? For generating that wish to help sentient beings to achieve completely freedom from suffering. Not just, you know, like, oh yeah, they are hungry, then we give something to eat. Okay, good, very good. But it didn't solve the problem, right? It didn't solve the inherent problem. Well, inherent is innate problem is a better word, that they are still suffering in samsara, right? So that is very important. So when we do these motivations, we need to try to expand our mind in this way. We need to try to open our mind in this way. That is why it is the biggest and the most powerful mind, the bodhicitta mind, thinking in this way, right? Because bodhicitta understands emptiness, understands the path to light, understands the suffering of sentient beings, understands our own suffering. So when we think about bodhicitta, we are thinking about all sentient beings. And we need to open our minds more and more and more, because right now it's hard for us. It's okay. It's just a habit. It's like a muscle, you know? Down, 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 down. It's the same thing. The best is that is unlimited. The body and the muscle, sometimes, you know, and then you see those big guys or women, you know, bodybuilders, and they're like, oh, they're still trying to explode of being so strong. But the body cannot, is limited, right? It cannot go further than that. But the mind, they don't have that. Mind is limitless. It's like we can really encompass all different realms, all sentient beings. Wow, so powerful. So we have this power inside of ourselves right here and right now. So that's what we can do. So when we motivate ourselves, we should motivate with this idea, right? With this wish to train our minds into the four immeasurables, to achieve the perfections, to understand emptiness, to understand reality, so we can develop bodhicitta, really, really strong bodhicitta until we achieve enlightenment, right? So we do that. So we're going to start on page 35. It's the last one because 34 and 35, you have the books over there, yes? Thank you, Nana. Oh, she's already there. She's great. So we're going to do motivate ourselves with this idea. Yes, we can already, and we should. Not only we can, but we should take responsibility in this life to help sentient beings in the best way we can. You know, if it is bringing them shopping, or if it is, you know, whatever we do, so good that we can do this already. Wow, 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 wow. Because in the end, you know, it's just being a good human being. That's it. That's what we need. And then we can use all of these beautiful things and possibilities that we have in our day-to-day life of helping others in different ways with our body, speech, and mind. but we do it with this intention to not only cut all the grasping, all of the self-cherishing, the wrong views that we have within ourselves, but we also do it with the intention to help others to achieve the same. So they can be free from suffering, completely purify their minds of the obscurations of the deluded minds and the negative patterns, and therefore allow their own compassion, love, and kindness to shine, to increase, to develop even more. That's the reason why we come here today to listen to these blah 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 teachings. So we can study, so we can contemplate, so we can meditate, to transform our minds from a deluded, contaminated, negative tendency to a positive, limitless, unconditional one. So we ask for our teachers and for the Buddha to help us so we can visualize the Buddha in front of us, made of golden light, seated on a beautiful throne. Just like the one we have here in the Gompa, made of light, rays of light like the sun. He's touching with his right hand the earth or the cushion of the throne, indicating that he has conquered his own mind and his own delusions, the maras. And with the left, the constant on his lap, his left hand on his lap, in the concentration mudra, he has a bowl full of all the nectar and qualities, indicating that he has perfected all of them. And he's here just wanting to help us to achieve the same. He looks at us with a beautiful gaze, calm, peaceful, non-judgmental eyes, accepting us just as we are. Is in the same nature of our Guru, manifests in a human body to help us, so we can hear him, understand, receive advices, and follow his advices. And surrounding the Buddha are all the lineage masters from the Indian tradition, from the Nalanda tradition, the Pali, and the Tibetan tradition, until we arrive to His Holiness the Dalai Lama and any of our personal teachers. All the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Dakas, Dakinis, Dharma protectors are here, looking at us, just here to help us, not even thinking about helping us effortlessly. But we need to do our part. And that's why we're going to pray and request them to help us. And we visualize all sentient beings surrounding us. On our right-hand side, our father, male figures. On the left-hand side, our mother, female figures. Those that we have difficulties in front of us. And we imagine that we're going to make these prayers in order to receive blessings. Blessings is what we call the necessary conditions to transform our mind. We need that. and to open our heart. So we start on page 35. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. We go to page 34. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. Page 98 for taking refuge, 98. So we keep that visualization with the Buddha and all the lineage master, Dharma, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas surrounding him. And we can see rays of light coming and not only purifying us, but also giving us the blessings that we need. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chodan soki chonamba janju bardu dani kepsu chi dagi chunye ki pe sonam ki drola penche sangye drupa risho. Very good. Thank you. So, as we can see, so we will continue our understanding of the 8 worldly dharmas. Because as we were talking about the motivation, if we really look what really doesn't allow us to open our heart, doesn't allow us to actually realize emptiness, is this attachment, is the grasping that we have. And the 8 worldly dharmas or the 8 worldly concerns, I also like the word concerns because it really helps us to see how we are full time, 24/7. You know, instead of being 7-11, it should be 7-24. You know, it's like that's how it is. The 8 worldly dharmas, we are 7-24 hours all the time, just totally, 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 totally enslaved by them. Right? We wake up thinking about, yes, I have to do this. I have to have material comfort. I have to have, kind of like a praise. I need to be, someone needs to. Oh yes, maybe that person is gonna do that. It's all the time, just all the time. Enslaved by that. Enslaved by that mind that doesn't allow us to be in peace because they are called disturbing emotions for a reason, right? Because they disturb our peace of mind, but also because it doesn't allow us to open our heart to think about others. Because it's just me, myself, and I. I think that's the song that it is that my song. Besides the blah blah blah, is me, myself, and I. So that's what it is, It's just that we keep on feeding and really running like around with that mind and really trying to make it happen for ourselves, which is very weird. Because if we think about, the more we follow that mind, the more dissatisfaction we get. Because it's not possible that we are doing it wrong. It's not. We are doing it right many times. Many times we are following the mind of the 8 worldly concerns, the mind of craving for, praise, craving for, material comfort, craving for sensual, for pleasures, and we are getting it. But the dissatisfaction, the mind that wants something else, the mind that is like, maybe something is missing, is still there. Do you understand what I mean? So we should be we should know by now that there's something wrong. The problem is that we lose our time thinking and looking for no, it's because it's not the right car, it's because it's not the right person, it's because it's not the right job, it's not the right country, it's not the right family, it's not the, you know, that's what we do. Instead of realizing that, huh, maybe, just maybe, the problem is with me, right? But the problem is with me is very important that we also observe what is that me. You know, we say, and in here in the book, especially in these pages, you know, page 36 to 49, I decided that I'm going to be a little more organized for you as well, so you can follow the book if you want to read the book. So page 36 to 49, you know, Lama Yeshe is talking, Rinpoche as well, you know, well, especially Rinpoche is talking about we shouldn't be mad at people or others or, you know, or situations. We should be mad, really, with that mind of attachment. And that, if we think about it, is revolutionary. This in itself can already think and can already change our minds. Because if we understand that the problem is not the person who is getting angry at you, but that person is creating conditions, but the mind who is deciding to get angry, it's yours. He locked himself out. So if we understand that, if we understand that mind, that the mind of attachment, the mind, maybe we put the little thing over there for the people to, for, if we understand that, that mind, it is the problem, then we're going to understand that it's the mind of attachment that is actually creating that issue for me. And then instead of creating even self-beating, depression, all of that, we're going to want to say, but this mind, it's not one with the nature of our minds, right? So because it's not one with the nature of our minds, that means that comes and goes, that means that it's dependent arising. I can actually get rid of it. Makes sense? Yes? That is very important, because then we start to understand that every time that we are looking for this satisfaction, looking for, you know, for this craving, for fulfilling that wish that we want, the eight worldly dharmas, we are, when we follow, when we allow ourselves to be enslaved, we are being completely deluded, right? And not only this, one of the biggest problems for those of you that are doing the morning meditations, we are doing this week on the Lamrim, we are doing the karma. He's talking about karma. When we follow the mind of attachment and the mind of the eight worldly dharmas that follows the eight worldly dharmas, we create a lot of negative karma and imprint and seeds with our body, speech, and mind. Why? Because, for example, very easy to see. We want to feel, you know, like praised, or we want to be famous, or we want, you know, we have a new job and we want people to like us, or we are in the new place and we want people to, you know, what do? We lie. First, one of the first things we do, we over exaggerated some of our own qualities or things that we might have done or things that we, because you want to fit in, right? Why? Because of the eight worldly dharmas, because of that mind of attachment to that wish to be seen, to be important, to be known. So we lie. Then we create a negative karma with a negative imprint. And as we know, karma is definite in the sense that once you create it, the result is going to happen only if you purify it, right? Then, okay. But once you create it, it's going to happen. Not even that. It's worse. Karma expands. So from one little white lie, as we say, it just goes and grows and grows and grows and grows and becomes something, you know, not only in this life, but in future lives, very complicated for us. And then the problem of the karma is that comes with us, that tendency goes with us for next lives. So when we wake up, when we are born in the next life, because like dying sometimes just like sleep, going to sleep, they say, you know, you go to sleep, you wake up in another life. So you, when you go to another life, what happened? You have the tendency. This is going to influence the environment you are in, the family you are born, everything. We don't think like that. And then we have a tendency, you know, it's easy to see how some kids sometimes they do have tendency already to start lying, right? From young age. Some kids know. Why? Karma. Why? Because some of them didn't decide to follow the eight worldly dharmas. That is, you know, the more I read this book, I've read this book maybe 4 or 5 times. So it's my one of my favorite books to read, you know. So reading again and again, and it just convinces me. I keep reading this book and debate to myself, and I'm just like convincing myself that it's like I had never practiced Dharma any day in my life. I'm a very bad practitioner. That's the first first thing that comes. But second, really comes to say, wow, Eight Worldly Dharmas is the basis of everything, right? Because if we start to understand, if we don't follow the Eight Worldly Dharmas, that means we are not creating negative karma. So that means in this life, we're already having more peace of mind. And in future lives, we're going to have happiness, right? Because we're not going to experience negative experiences, you know, negative, unpleasant experience because of not creating negative karma. And not only this, but also we're not going to create situations that don't allow us to close our heart. Because as we say, the eight worldly dharmas don't allow us to think about others. We use others, right? When we are chasing fame, when we are grasping for, you know, for material good and all of that, do we have can we think about someone else? No. Yes, just me, myself, and I. That's it. That's what it is, right? So then the problem is that these minds of the eight worldly dharmas, it does create many circumstances that unfortunately they are very not only negative, but they can be very harmful for ourselves and others, right? If we really think about all of the addictions in the world, no, drugs, alcohol, food, you know, all of these different, yeah, you know, minds of desire, uncontrolled minds of desire. If you think about it, that's what the addiction is, right? It's an uncontrolled mind of desire. Of course, some of these addictions, like, you know, drug or there is a component of chemical, like, you know, in the bodies can be, you know, they say that some of them are, how do you say, coming from family to, you know,
Inherited.
Inherited, no? So you can see that it looks like inherently, but no, it's inherited. So, you know, you have that, so it comes. Yes, but also this is karma. You only have that because you created the karma in the past. So for you to come, you know, in a situation, karmic connection with someone, your parents, that has that. So all of these minds is just because we are being slaved by the eight worldly dharmas. That is very important that we understand. Very important. You know, because like especially when we talk about relationships, we can also think it is a little bit of an addiction, right? We use it to either escape, you know, the craving for not being unknown or not being kind of like, you know, not being criticized. Then we need to be in a relationship sometimes, right? Then relationships, it's a perfect example how attachment enslaves us. Totally, totally. Right? Because unfortunately nowadays what we call love is a little bit less pure than we think. If we are very honest with ourselves, right? It's a little bit less altruistic as we think, you know. As I said, I went to see my brother's wedding, and I really feel that they are very happy, and I hope and I pray and I really wish them to be happy for a long time. But I can see that there is that like view of believing that, you know, oh yeah, 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 oh yes, I'm gonna love you forever until the first problems, you know, second problem, and then someone else appears more attractive, more nice, and then you know? Because in the beginning, if we look at our minds when we get attracted to someone, the mind becomes like, you know, just see perfections. We just see. There's a movie about that actually. Very stupid movie, a long time ago. But it's something like that that like everybody thinks is telling this guy like, why are you with this woman? You know, like she's horrible. She's this, and he's just like, what are you saying? She's beautiful, and it's very funny because they use. I think is I don't remember the actress now, but they put like this actress and this like blonde girl and perfect, and he just sees her like that until she starts to act differently, with him, and then she starts to change. His mind starts to change, and then he starts to see how she really is, and then he gets totally averted, avert to her, aversion to her, right? It's very funny. That's exactly how we work. Because, and that is the most important part that we need to understand, there's nothing wrong with the poor person. It's just not fair. If we think it's not fair because we are the ones projecting everything into the person, creating all of these ideas, right? Putting them in the pedestal, creating these feeling. And the person is just, a normal human being. And we do that with everything, you know? Like we get our new phone, an iPad or something, and then the first one is, yes, oh wow, it's amazing, it's amazing. And then for a few months, it's amazing, it's amazing. And then it starts to go a little bit slow, or a little bit not this, or you start to see that there is a new camera better than yours and all of that. And then you start to say, no, no, my phone is horrible. So I need to change it. It's just horrible. My phone doesn't work and all of that. The object didn't change at all. At all. Isn't that crazy? If we really analyze, I always like, because if we really think about our own our life, we don't need TV. We don't need Netflix. Netflix would totally lose its money if people would start analyzing themselves and their minds because everything is there. All the craziness, everything that that people want to watch in the Netflix, it comes in our minds. All the stories we can see that it's just so perfect. But we need to observe. We need to sit down and check. Right, Damien?
So something funny is that about phones, I used to have a nice phone.
Mhm.
Then I said, okay, I'm gonna keep this until it doesn't work. So it was like 5 years. I had this little old phone, and it was working perfectly.
Perfectly, yes.
I check everything like I don't need to change it. Every time I see somebody was like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
why are you having that?"
Exactly,
I
exactly,
mean, okay, what I'm doing wrong.
exactly. And then you bought a new one. Yes. My godfather told me a story very similar to that. He said as well, he was like, no, this one is very good and things like that. And then some people used to ask him, but which number is, 'cause like, and then he was like, I think it's the iPhone 10 on 11. They were like, oh my God, it's so old. Now you're already in the, I don't know, 15, 16. I don't even know which,
15.
yeah, 50. And then he was a bit like, oh no, maybe this is not good. You start to see, and then you start to create a problem that was not there, and you start to compare and say, oh no, it's bad, no, it's true, oh yeah, this is much better, oh yeah, this, he doesn't even know how to take pictures, so he doesn't look. So no problem, but we create, and this is the perfect example to say and to show how we create our own realities. We create our own experiences. So that's why when we talk about, the different realms of existence in samsara, samsara is the wheel of life, that idea that we kind of like have no control of our rebirth. It's because of that. We are creating our own reality. And right now, we have no control of it. Do you understand? It's just like we have no control even now in this life with this mind that we have now, with everything that we learn, wherever we came from, whatever age, whatever thing we study. We don't have control. You know, We don't have that possibility of choice. I don't want to think this. And then immediately your mind start come back, come back, come back, come back. Or you try to suppress that, and in so many ways you start to be a bit, grumpy, snappy, because it's there. It's just there. That aversion, that anger, that feeling of I did, which are because you didn't get your 8 worldly dharmas. So that is why it's so important that we understand how powerful and influential, let's say like that, the 8 worldly dharmas are in our lives. How they are the real problem, the real issue. And then how we create our reality. And we can experience, hell, as we talk about in this life. We don't need to wait to die and go to the hell realms or something like that. We can experience right now. How our mind sometimes goes into those kind of like situations, everything becomes like so much, and it's like being in hell. Or perfect example how to be an animal. You are hungry and you just think about food and you're like, I need to eat. People get grumpy, no, hungry. Yeah, grumpy. No, there's so grumpy. Or you really also a lot sexual desire. Sexual desire creates a mind that is just like, I want that, right? And you become so tight on that mind, so kind of like, I want that. Exactly like animals, exactly like. So we think like, oh no, I don't get rebirth as an animal. Well, we don't need to. We're already doing it. But that proves that what actually stays in our mind, whatever we perceive it and we believe it is real, it's what creating our reality. And right now, we have the possibility of changing that. So that is why these teachings are so important.
Very important. So I had an experience the other day of something that someone had said they were going to do something, promised. I was expecting they would. Then they changed their mind. And it became, for me,
A problem. The worst big problem. Did you guys hear what she said in online? Yes? Could you hear? Yeah, okay.
a big suffering. I
Yes.
suffered the whole night.
Yes, very good.
I suffered the entire night.
Yes.
And in the suffering,
Yes.
I was thinking about these things.
Very good.
And I kept thinking about them. I kept saying, this is my problem.
It's coming from my mind.
And I said, I woke up.
Yes.
And I began to do this analytic and meditation.
Very good. Analytical meditation. Yes.
Because the suffering, I was in the suffering.
Yes. That's it. That's exactly this. But this is good.
Yes. Well, because I was aware of what happened.
That's exactly this.
What happened, and I was saying, why did this affect me so much?
That's
and
exactly
I went
this.
back into my own life and I saw the root of some of it.
Yes, yes.
And I was able to then work with myself.
Very good.
To come out of the suffering.
Very good.
And I never said a word to the person.
Very good.
I want them to be happy. I didn't want to make them suffer.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
You promised this and you didn't do it.
Exactly.
No, I didn't do that.
That's exactly this. Yeah, because that is the thing, right? That when these things, when we start to, that's why like learning about these is so important in our minds. Because when they happen, we have tools to deal with them. And this is exactly completely related with the first thing that we started talking about tonight, about the intention and the motivation. Most people in the world have no tools. They have no idea how to deal with their minds because they don't know about it, right? The reason why we have so much suffering, so much war, so much, like people killing each other and things like that, it's because of that. Because people don't have the tools to deal with these frustrations, to deal with these things. And instead of understanding that this is a problem of their own uncontrolled mind, grasping to the eight worldly dharmas, what do? Outside and boom, finished. I need to finish with the pain. And the problem when they do that, it creates so much suffering for others and for themselves. Wow, 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 wow. So when we're talking about motivation, it's helping others to see it, right? It's helping others by doing this ourselves. So first we need to do ourselves, right? That is the most important part. That's why, some people, or the Dalai Lama always says, it's just so beautiful when you start to understand more and more why being wisely selfish. That's what wisely selfish means. You first start to understand your own mind and working with your own mind. You first start letting go of the dharmas, doing what you said. Wait a minute, I'm not gonna go to the other person and kind of like, Mama, you did that, you promised, and all of that. No, you're gonna look into your mind and see, and then, as I said, you're gonna start being angry, or in some ways develop some sort of positive anger and positive aversion to these mindsets, right? That is why we always say anger, you know, and aversion, it can be used for a positive way. This is a perfect example, right? We always say that like you need to have aversion to samsara to be able to be free from it. You need to see the suffering. You need to see how it doesn't matter until you are not free from these negative mindsets and the karma, the imprints that you created that are gonna that you have no control, you're gonna suffer. So you need to have aversion to this. You need to say, I don't want to do that. I don't want to follow this mind. I don't want to do this. And then you start changing. Then you start to really looking for ways and for really making it possible for this to change. Yes, right.
Aversion, aversion would be a cause, and renunciation would be an effect.
Aversion will be a cause and renunciation will be an effect. Aversion could be a cause for us really wanting to get rid of samsara, and
Unless I'm really averse to
yes,
suffering of samsara, I'm
That's
not
it.
truly renouncing.
that's it. So then, if you are really avert, then you're gonna start renouncing. But renouncing is an action of choice, right? What renunciation means, it doesn't mean shaving head, becoming monk, not like this. These can be actually quite the opposite. Some people, unfortunately, monks and nuns, they do that thinking that this is going to help them and becomes a prison. So then there's no renunciation and there's misery, unhappy people, and no good. But what renunciation really means is renouncing the eight worldly dharmas. It's when you understand the suffering that they bring, and you understand that not only in this life but in future lives and any other realm you're going to be born, you are under the control of the eight worldly dharmas. You just like so you get aversion to these mindsets and you say, I don't want that, right? And then you renounce, you start to develop a renunciation, which will be through this understanding that you don't want that, you don't want the eight worldly dharmas, to make choices that is going to give you far away from the eight worldly dharmas. And not only this, but will create positive intentions, right? To replace the eight worldly dharmas. That's what renunciation really is about, right? By through understanding the causes of the suffering, and which is the eight worldly dharmas, the mind that is grasping to these attachments, to these inherently existing attachments. That's what it is, no? If we go really into the point, is the inherently existing and the wrong view of the objects. And this creates a self-cherishing. And this creates the eight-worldly dharmas, because then I just want, this self needs to be taken care of. Then needs to be famous, needs to be complimented every day, needs to have food, comforts, and needs to have pleasures. It's like a baby, right? That's what we need. That's what we need. Want. We are like this because we believe in this self being completely inherent exists. We just need that. We're just chasing this. So that is why it's so important that we understand. Because true renunciation only comes by understanding our own suffering, right? So the first part, when we're talking about the Lam Rim, the stages of the path to enlightenment, the most important part, to be honest with you guys, is that renunciation, understanding the sufferings of samsara, and then we can start renouncing. But because the problem is that sometimes we go straight to the compassion, because the compassion tastes and feels nice, but it's a daydream that we are actually going to be able to be compassionate when we are still grasping to the eight worldly dharmas, right? We can do relative compassion and kind actions, as you just you said about bringing someone to the shopping, or we can be generous. We can do so many incredible things, but it is still not real compassion, great compassion, as we say. Real is difficult to say because it's a big word in Buddhism, real, but it's still not compassion according to Buddhism. Why? Because we don't understand our own suffering. We don't understand how we are totally enslaved by the eight worldly dharmas. Once we understand, then we start to look around, and then we start to see. That's why practice of equanimity, the four immeasurables, are so important. Once we have renounced, once we have understood the suffering, once we have understood, how we are enslaved, how we act, how we create negative karma, how we are in this cycle of samsara, blah, 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 and we look around and we say, every single sentient being is like this. People that have no idea, and they never met the Dharma, and they have no idea how to do it. Then compassion starts to really get a bit more of a taste of what real compassion is, because it comes from understanding, and not because compassion can be also act of compassion can be eight worldly dharmas as well, right? Look at me, how I am so nice. I'm giving these flowers and I'm giving these. Oh, look, I'm taking care of this old person. Look at me, how nice. Eight worldly dharmas, totally. Nothing good, creating any positive intention, right? That's very interesting and very important. Because then we start to see that it's not like that, right? It's not like this that it works. It's not the object, it's not the action outside, but that inside, the understanding how the mind was, understanding how suffering comes, understanding how we are enslaved by the eight worldly dharmas, and then opening our minds, especially with equanimity. Starting with equanimity meditation, so powerful. Doing equanimity meditation, friends, strangers, and enemies. Yeah, these meditations. A very beautiful meditation. I really like. We're gonna do more in the Monday meditations, in the morning meditations. Because then we start to see that there's no difference between ourselves and others, right? No difference. This is a very good way as well when we are meditating on equanimity, and when you meditate, especially on equanimity, to make us not react so much. And it can even help our understanding of, as I said before, being mad with the mind of attachment, the mind of craving to the eight worldly dharmas, and not with the person. There's a beautiful text called Lojong, the 8 verses of mind training, mind transformation. I don't know how they translate it, but mind control. Then they say, when we see a person or a being that is wicked in nature, that is kind of like, angry and going through a lot, we should see this person with a very compassionate mind, right? And see this person with this wish really to help. Why? Because that person, you can see out of their minds, literally, they are totally being slaved by the eight worldly dharmas. And if we recognize that we also have that we suffer from that, we know how it feels when we are totally going through this, right? Being enslaved by our mind and allowing, don't even allow us to sleep sometimes, right? When we do that, wow, then we see the other person that is that, even if they want to harm us, doesn't matter. We don't get angry, There's a very beautiful way, a quote that they say as well. You know, if someone hits you with a stick on the head, don't be mad at the person, be mad at the stick. Because that's what actually made you hurt, not the person, right? That is a perfect example to understand that we shouldn't be mad when someone is bad or not nice, rude, or whatever to us. We should check and say, this person are being like that. This person is definitely not well. It's under the control of the eight worldly dharmas. It's under the control of the attachment, under the control of anger, under the control of jealousy, pride, all of it. So how can we be angry with this person? How can we want to fight back? I just can't understand sometimes. And this happens to me, you know, so many times. Me, oof. But can you remember, you say, how can I be mad at this person? This person is not even like that, right? Then we start to understand a little bit more and more and more. Then we start to soften up a little bit the iron grip, you know, the iron hand, the justice hand of like, I know what is best, and this person is doing this, and I'm gonna show to this person how to be, you know? You know what I mean? That we have this tendency of being like, oh, no, not like this. It's me, right? That is very important that we look like this. You're going to say something, all right?
Well, and some of the things I've read, and I can't remember if it was something the Buddha specifically said, but when somebody is being mean to you or doing something wrong, and you realize that it's coming from ignorance or anger, a defilement, they're actually your teacher.
Yes, that's exactly this. That's exactly this. The person, you mean someone else?
The
Yes,
person
that's exactly this. You should see it. You should see. You should see this person.
helping to teach you.
That's exactly this. When the mind the Lojong text says about that, he says when someone, and also the 37 practice of the Bodhisattva. It's a very special text. Maybe next year when we come, we can do something with them, with that text. I'm not qualified at all to do it, but it's a text that I really like, and is a very special text. I had a very special opportunity to receive teachings from Rinpoche on that, and he even asked me to make a video about this when he was doing a specific quote. But it is about that because we say, you know, when someone, you know, talks badly about you in front of people, when someone kind of like, you know, disgraces you or do something bad to you or things like that, you should see this person as your teacher and put them higher than you, and only talk good about them, only, you know, serve them as if they were the most precious person. Why? Very important. Because that person, it is very special and very important, because they are helping you to see the mind of the eight worldly dharmas. Then mind grasping to me, which is the mind that we want to transform, that we want to totally let it go. So if we don't have those people that challenging us, you know, we always say, "Then, we are just, if we just keep it." But this is always also in our daily lives, right? It's like there's many, one of the reasons why some universities are so famous and so the way of teaching is so impactful is because of the different people with different points of view. We need to have people challenging us so we can learn, so we can. This is the basis of debate, right? In Buddhism. That's why, because we need to be challenged. We need to be challenged on our certainties, which are so many. Yeah, you know, we believe, we think, and it's our worldview, and we have practice, and that's how it is, and that's how it becomes, and that's our life, and it is like this, and this is good, this is bad, and we start to become, you know, so tight, and then we struggle with ourselves and with others. That is so important, so important. It is a very beautiful text because of that, because it allows us to see that. But we need to train our minds because we are not used to think like this at all, right? As I keep saying, what effortlessly, spontaneously arises in us when someone says something bad about us or something like this or da da da. jealousy, pride, you know, immediately, immediately. But we need to understand that these mindsets, they are not out there. That person might say whatever they want, but they are creating the conditions for your mind to label it and to say, this is bad, this is wrong, and no, I'm like this, and then react. So it's coming from you, totally from you. Understand? And if we go even more deeper, you know, the reason why we have what we call a bell and a vajra, the bell symbolizes emptiness, you know, the view of reality. Why? Because when we ring the bell, the sound, we should meditate and understand that is cause and effect. Because there is that thing, there is the sound, there is a hearing, and that's it. Nothing more. And it's the same when someone comes and you are bad. We should see the same. Empty. Why am I here getting angry because of some words? Right? And at the same time, we should use the same meditation because that is the difficult part for us. When someone's praise us, why we should feel inflated and good and it's just words. You're not inherently good or bad. You're nothing. Right? So, because if you say to someone says to you, "Oh, you're very good, wow," and then someone comes and says to you, "You're very good at that," no, with some same phrase, right? Just different intonation, is it? And the mind reacts totally different. One is, the other is like, right? Same. You see how crazy we are? Totally nuts. This is very important for us to understand. Very important. You're going to say something, Sadie.
Yeah, sometimes it's very easy to see the negative behavior in other people,
Yes.
but not in you.
Yes.
It's very easy, like, oh,
Very
that
easy.
person, it's so
Oh yes, yes. We are so judgmental, isn't it? It's incredible. Today I was talking to my mom, and then I was talking about something as well, like something about my brothers, about her. Then and then she was that my mom's best teacher I have in many ways. She's extremely special, very special person, very, very, very kind, very generous, very loving in many ways. But she also pushes my buttons, so she's very good. So she was saying something, then she said, "Yeah, but what are your problems?" or something like this. And then I said, "Well, that's easy. I'm a control freak. I'm like the I started to say all of this. I'm arrogant. I'm like, pride. I have so much pride. I think I know everything. I'm like the And then she said, "Oh wow, no, you're not like that." He said, mothers, no. She said, "No, no, And then I said, "No, no, no, I am. No worry, no worry. Don't spoil now. Don't spoil now." Because it's that. That's exactly like this. So easy to see outside, We judge, we put everything into boxes, into labels, bad, wrong, why? Because, nobody knows. There's a teacher, Jetsuma Tenzin when she said, "Can you imagine if there was a device in our heads that would speak everything that we think? We would be desperate for training our minds, right? We would be desperate. We would all be kind of like running to the nearest Buddhist center because we are totally, confused. And that's it. We are putting people into boxes and labeling and looking for ourselves. No way. We are perfect, amazing. We have no problems whatsoever. It's all people's fault, right? And that's what we do. We look for enemies and we look for fault, blame, everything outside. Everything. Is incredible how much we like to create problems to ourselves. It's incredible. It's just like, but we should be doing the opposite. We should looking inside and looking for, what is actually his mind? His mind of attachment, of grasping of completely deluded mind. That is the mind that should be my enemy. That is the mind that is gonna, I should renounce. That is the mind that I have to have aversion to. That is the mind that it doesn't allowing me to feel peace, love, compassion, kindness, to experience everything that I want. Peace of mind, calmness. That is so important that we start to recognize. This book is all about that, helping us to recognize, helping us to see the flaws and the problems and the bad aspects of this mind and seeing options, different options, right? Renouncing them. That's what it is. That's what we need. There's no other way for us to achieve any aspect of the spiritual path if we don't start from there. We need to understand why, because then it doesn't matter how much we practice Dharma, how much we study, how much you learn, how much you know, it's not really creating a long-term solution, a long-term benefit. And that is the problem. I read this very beautiful sutra that there is a very incredible one of my teachers, and one of the teachers that I really, really, really admire. He's called Dzongsa Khyentse Rinpoche. You know, he's from a Nyingma and Kagyu tradition, but Nyingma especially. And he is a filmmaker. He makes movies, and he kind of like, but he's very authentic as well. And he has a project called 84,000. So they are translating the sutras, and many of them not only from the Pali, but sometimes from the Sanskrit, from the Chinese, because some of them were kind of like translated into Chinese first, and then they got lost. So many incredible work. And there was this sutra that the Buddha was explaining how this lady was going to get married with this person, and this was going to be very good for that region because she was going to help a lot of people because of her past lives, past karma. Very beautiful. And then her husband has many bad dreams. And then he goes and he's a bit like worried about what that means. And then she says, go to the Buddha and ask what that means. And the Buddha goes and the Buddha talks about the degeneration of the Dharma, how the Dharma is going to degenerate. And one of the things that he says is about that, because of the intention. People will use and practice Dharma with the intention of, he doesn't use the word eight worldly Dharmas, but he used the words of attachment, right? So then what it should be considered the remedy, the medicine, becomes the poison, right? But not the Dharma, because that is not Dharma. But everything else that we think it is Dharma, and we get lost. We get lost in these, shenanigans of things, right? Of lights and statues and all of that. And yes, this has a purpose. There's a meaning behind. So important. But for most important, is to look into our mind, to really transform it, to really see it, observe it. That's what we need to do, because the more we can actually be aware of our intention, aware of our minds, aware of what's going on. Are we following the Eight Dharmas or not? Because if you think about it, it's a perfect way to check our motivation. Am I following the Eight Dharmas or not? So ask yourself before you're going to do anything, or before you're going to do something important, before you're going to, get into the relationship, getting this, say that. If you're in a group of people and check, why am I doing this? Why am I saying this? Very important. It's such a good mind training. The Eight Dharmas helping us to connect with that pure motivation of like, no, this I don't want. I don't need. I don't need to be the center of attention. I don't need to do this. I don't need to get comfort today. I have thought. I have enough. Knowing the enough point, so important as well. This is, as I always say, I was saying today in the morning meditation about karma. I always feel that understanding karma and understanding the eight worldly dharmas, and um, not following the mind of the eight worldly dharmas is the biggest action of self-compassion and self-love we can do. Because we not only don't suffer now, we have peace of mind, we have calm, we have, space, we have opened heart for others because we are not thinking about ourselves, so we can think about others. So there's only amazing qualities, amazing results just now, just by doing that. The moment we choose not to follow the eight worldly dharma, the mind, and the mind opens, the heart opens. Not only this, but we are planting seeds for next lives. We don't know where we're gonna be, but the next lives to experience positivity, to connect with these teachings, to be able to learn again, and to develop more and more and more those kind of like qualities of renunciation, of compassion, of wisdom. Wow, so special, so special. So that is why it is we should be conscious, constantly conscious about, what is going on, watching, you know, the book, Lama Zopa say, watching the enemy, the inner enemy, like the same way that we do outside, watching, like, watching the inner enemy. Where is it? Where is it? Oh yes, it is. It is. Very good. Then we can know, we can do that. That is very, very special. So, any questions? People online want to say something? Everybody sleeping? Just Nana? Nana no sleeping? No questions, okay. Because then I think I'm gonna do a very short meditation on the nature of attachment. We're gonna do that. We can do that in 10 minutes. I just didn't do because there is this meditation on the book, and it's so important. So important that we do that. That we recognize, the nature of attachment, that we really see how it is that we are completely under the influence. Let me find it here. Yes, okay. So let's start. So let's find a posture. Try to find a comfortable posture, but relaxed, but not too relaxed. If you cannot do now, sit down and all of that, just try to listen and contemplate while I'm doing the meditation. And for a few moments, we can just bring our attention to our breath. Concentrate on the subtle sensations of the air coming in and out of our nostrils. Focusing and concentrating the mind a little bit, where we start our analytical part. So whenever distractions, dullness, sleepiness, or thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations come up. Let it all go. And bring the attention back to the breath. Let your mind be very calm. Seeing the benefits of bringing the attention to the breath again and again. And we can start letting go the attention to the breath. And we start analyzing our mind. And first we can observe how on our daily lives we are more concerned with momentarily satisfaction than something that can give us more everlasting happiness. Think of examples from your own life when you see yourself chasing after what is just momentary pleasure, or when you are chasing praise, fame, good reputation. Think about a specific situation that might have happened recently. And if we observe that mind, and we are believing that whatever we're gonna get is gonna bring us such a special type of happiness. We really observe our minds in that moment before we even have the object of attachment. We have a very unrealistic idea from the object. And when we get what we want, we can see how it doesn't last. Not only this, if we really observe our mind, we are not even restful, relaxed. Our minds are tense, tight. So if we are like this, if the attachment of our minds create this disturbance, look at others. They're exactly the same. Especially when people don't get what they need and what they want. Facing unrealistic situations and results. And we suffer, others suffer, everybody suffers. So if we understand that this mind of attachment to the eight worldly concerns, the eight worldly dharmas, is the mind that doesn't help us to achieve the happiness that we actually want. We can renounce it and not follow it. And then we're going to find calm, peaceful, lasting happiness. And not only we can do that for ourselves, but we can help others to do the same. So we conclude this meditation with this intention to watch the real enemy inside of ourselves, to observe how the mind of attachment to the eight worldly dharmas arises, enslave us, cheat on us. It doesn't deliver what it promises. Creates suffering for ourselves and others, now and in the future. Just creates imprints, habits, habitual patterns. So we conclude that we're going to study, contemplate, and meditate on this again and again, so we can become familiar with it, let it go, and transform our minds, so we can help others to do the same. So we take advantage to dedicate all the efforts that we did throughout this, not only this meditation, but this class today. Efforts for being here, for listening, contemplating, asking, talking. May all of these help us to understand better, to better understand and realize the eight worldly dharmas, so we can be free from them and help others to achieve the same. And we would not be here if it was not for the kindness of our teachers, who taught us all of these different methods. So we ask for their long life, especially His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who wrote this book, so he can continue guiding us and all sentient beings to enlightenment. And we understand and dedicate that by understanding this mind of the eight worldly dharmas, we contribute for a more loving and peaceful world. Because all the problems, all the wars, famine, economical, political disputes, natural disasters, come from not understanding the eight worldly concerns, the mind that craves for them. They are the origin of it all. So by understanding, eliminating them from our minds, we are contributing to a better world, more peaceful, kind, and loving. We're going to do some dedication prayers on page 246, button 246. 246. Shantideva. Not going, Nana? Yeah, good. Okay. Thank you. There we go. May all beings everywhere plagued by sufferings of body and mind obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of our merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Now we go to page 235. 235, general dedications. I should have started with that one, but mind, not good mind. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha, and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme dew bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, I too dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones thus gone of the three times, so I might perform good works. I dedicate whatever virtues I have ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of perfect pure Losandrampa to shine forever. Page 244, for His Holiness the Dalai Lama long life. 244. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all powerful Chandrisic Tenzin Gyatso. Please remain until samsara ends. Now the swift return prayer for Lama Zopa Rinpoche. On our page is 234 on our book. And I think, yes, Nana is over there. Fearless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang, father and sons, along with the knowledge masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you are the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings you suddenly departed to peace, what a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great ways of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. So thank you so much for coming, for listening, for being here. All of you online as well, especially you, Nana, being so late and helping so much. So I encourage you to read the book from page 36 to page 49. So you guys are going to get much more than me, my blah, blah, blah. But I encourage you to do that. So I see you on Sunday morning. Well, tomorrow morning for meditation, but Sunday as well. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you, Venerable. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you, amazing people. See you
Thank
tomorrow.
you. See you
Bye-bye.
tomorrow. Bye. Yes.
Oh,